I'll be very happy if our speakers can share, open their cameras, and yeah, let me see your faces, right? So yeah, give me a second, please. Let me check QA's questions from our estimated attendees. Is the platform only for space service companies? Yes, on this stage, only for space. Let me open chat as well. So let's do the following. Let's start with Eugen question. I remember you raised your hand. Let's start with your question, and let's move to questions from our attendees.
Thank you very much, Alex. Thank you very much for the panelists for the presentations that you made. Listening from what my colleagues have presented, it sounds very exciting and a very idea for our Rwandan situation. I'm just wondering how these solutions can be brought here in Rwanda in a situation where we have communities that don't have sufficient skills to grasp the technologies, where the internet penetration is at 50%, and where electricity distribution is around 90% or close to 86%. And what does it require for you to be linked to our partners? My unique question then goes to my friend from Oman and Mario, the use of drones. With drones, the technology entails picking images, then interpreting the images, and then letting it to the real situation on the ground. In the absence of a scientific knowledge on the discipline or on the science, how do you use the images to interpret the exact situation on the ground? Does it require a skilled person to be trained in that science, in that discipline? I'm just saying this because I'm imagining where the technology would be required to support extensionists on the ground that are working on in agriculture. Lastly, to my Alex, if one wants to be hooked on the space, what does it require so that one is hooked on your space? Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Okay, please.
Just to answer your questions, the drones is helping the expertise to do their jobs. It is not totally like we remove the expertise. So we have some scientists and some expertise in palms and their pests. So they wasn't helping us to define the symptoms, the early symptoms, if it is infected, if it's healthy. So through that, we have been testing that, testing the drones and the way we doing it, the detection. And now we are getting about 75% to 80% of accuracy. It is good working. And as we said, we cannot just using drones. So we need to have expertise that know what is the symptoms of these and what to know if it's infected or not. Through that, we have to train and use different methods. And we have to survey more than one farm, like big areas with palm trees. And we are only not focusing on palm trees only. For future, maybe we have to do in other cities. Through that, when we capture the multispectral images, through that we have calculating using GIS to know the GNDBI if it is healthy or not.
Okay, Eugen, are you satisfied with the answer?
Yeah, yeah. Maybe
Oh.
he fell short. Maybe he fell short of responding to how we can be brought on ground and be linked with our institutions.
Sorry, can you elaborate that more, please?
I'm saying most of your services don't exist here in Rwanda on the ground
Okay.
because we are grappling with using the technology, but it's not yet in place. I'm wondering how you can be connected to the relevant institutions that work in the same domain so that they can also benefit. For example, our own institution, how can we tap into your services so that we can leverage the existing situation?
This is a good question to ask. We still, as we said, in testing. I don't know how we can do it in Rwanda, especially, but because as I know, you are saying that you're still doing in the ground inspections, right? So we try to as we mentioned in the presentation, we are not thinking to do it in drone. As for future, we will do it in the satellite. That's so we can be large scale and it is will be work for worldwide as a solution, not only focusing. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah.
So I assume you guys need to start with MIU and then let's see how it goes. And that's not only for you guys, for Robin from Mariota for sure as well, as I see him smiling.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say, just because it's probably worth mentioning, and I'm sure OQ are the same, right? You know, obviously the satellites are going around the globe, and it tends to be a combination of a couple of things from a communications perspective. One, the satellites have got to be turned on. And I've just actually had a look. We've got, sort of 4 chances of sending messages a day over Rwanda. So they're turned on. But then the next thing you do with both ourselves and OQ, when you have a licensed spectrum, you do need to get licensed to deploy devices in that country. So usually that would be, you mentioned CST. CST is a great example of a regulator that in Saudi, you would go and work with them to get a spectrum. It would be the same with Rwanda, right? So we'd have to be introduced to the regulators within that country to make sure we get the approval to beam. Usually you very easy to get beam approval to test. Testing normally quite simple, and then maybe it's a bit more of a longer process to get commercial deployment. But one tends to feed the other. So the more the need and the more the opportunity, the quicker the regulation can come. So hopefully that helps.
Okay, yeah. And answer to your question, so we are building if you're referring to the marketplace, right? So what we're trying to build and what we're trying to achieve is to provide and share information to the end user, like agricultural companies, oil and gas companies, and so on. And it's accessible. You can check what's there, and the main idea of the platform again is to increase the awareness and inspiration. So we want to inspire guys from agricultural industry to use those services and technologies. That's actually why we're doing the webinar today, right? And that's why we're building the marketplace. So yeah. I hope I answer your question. So let me get back to the chat. I see the question to Robert. Can you share opportunities for Indian market? So are you interested in Indian market? Are you operating there? Please, if you are.
Yeah, again, it's the same thing. It's really about regulation. So I don't think we're actually even beaming in India at the moment. But again, these things tend to be you find the opportunity and then you open up the satellite. It just takes quite a, you've got to focus on key areas, and obviously Middle East has been a big driving for us, and Latin America. I think we will eventually open up in India, but at the moment we're not beaming over there.
So please, I don't know the name of the attendee who asked this question, but please contact Robert if you wanna if you want to get more information. And we have 3 questions from chat. So let's start from the last one, from Amos. I think it's a question to Robert. Abdulaziz left, but okay, Robert is here. So do any of the solutions here use solar power, like IT devices?
Yeah, I mean, it's worth looking around in the whole of the partnerships. I mean, I talked about a device called FlexSense that use batteries, but also will have a future release which will have a line in. And what you really want to know about is there a line power for that device? Because if there's a line power, then it could either take an external solar panel or it could, be physically plugged into something. So FlexSense will eventually have line power. But, again, it's a matter of having a look on our websites, looking at the partners, because many of the partners do provide solar panels. I know of a company called Wild who are based in the UK, but they do soil monitoring and so on, and they use solar panels as part of their design. So there are quite a few partners who do that. I can point them to a specific one. If there's a specific one somebody's interested in, send me an email and I'll show them to the right partner.
Will Taylor, please drop your question in the chat. I see your question about the comment. Yeah, I cannot bring you to the speaker room. Sorry, so you need to type it. So question to Rashid. Which satellite constellations are you leveraging for data collection? If this can be disclosed, of course, and how you're making up for a relatively poor coverage over some regions that not are in the US and European Union.
For that question, I don't want to say the satellite, but we usually have this several providers that if we need that, we can ask them about that. And as we know, the satellite for the multispectral, we have 6 bands. It's more than the drone even. I don't need to say that the name of the companies because it is like different companies. We usually work with. How is making enough relatively to cover some regions, not in the US. Especially, I think it depends on the area. But as we said, nowadays, like most of area, like as we work in Oman, there is still some satellite that already there for future. But as we said, it is still in developing. We don't know yet. We still, as we said, it's called R&D, which is research and development of this solution. We are not finalized yet. As we said, should be for satellite, and we are working that. I don't have a specific answer for that question. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. And I think questions for everyone here on the call, again from the chat, so you can check them by yourself. In my experience, Desire is writing to us. In my experience, the obvious application of satellite data and technologies in agriculture and farming are straightforward, but rarely lead to viable, profitable business and revenue model. So to be short, how you guys are facing this problem and how you're helping farmers to obtain your products and so on.
I'm happy to go on that if you like. One thing it's worth noting, the technology is moving on quite a lot, right? If you put geo satellites in space, they're very expensive and they're often always on. So they tend to do higher data rates, but they have in the past been considered quite expensive solutions. With some of the LEO constellations coming up, it's a lot cheaper to put LEO satellites up. And I think really what this comes down to is that it's about picking the timeliness of the data. So if you want an always on service and you need real time data, then you will have to pay for it. But if you can get away for a use case that maybe only takes 1 message a day, then obviously the cost point is a lot lower. And I think the key to this is actually understanding the use case that you want and applying it to the right technology. And that is exactly why I often have people complain to me that my latency is not fast enough. But equally, I can enable that, but I'll have to charge more for it. And that it's about getting that specific price point versus value. And I think certainly with some of the new technologies, the prices are certainly coming down to the point where I do believe, you know, the benefits in agriculture and efficiency can now be, you know, covered.
So my question maybe to Eugene regarding same question, but from the perspective of the industry itself. So it obviously you're like industry struggling to obtain those technologies. How you see like are there any solutions so we can facilitate the adaptation of space technologies in agriculture or climate industries?
My take is that that's why I actually was very inquisitive about bringing the partners in Rwanda, because we require the services to our own solutions. My organization what my organization can do is the organization can link the providers of the solution to the relevant regulatory agencies, government agencies that work with the solutions, so that we can work together to get a solution to the problems and how the registration can be fast-tracked so that the services can be brought to Rwanda. And like I mentioned in my presentation, RCCDN can be a gateway to the entry into Rwanda, and we can facilitate the entry of the service providers.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much.
And maybe before it is registered, it's required to be tested before it is marketed or made commercial. So we can be ready for that. And with Rwanda, the way we handle business, it is like yesterday. We do it so fast.
Okay, thank you so much. So we've got a question from Will Tyler. Do any of the speakers work with data fusion? I think it's a question to Nader maybe. The key to Eugene's requirements may well need a combination of many IoT data sets and Earth observation, of course. What do you think about all this?
So we do not really do the data fusion, but definitely we believe that that's something very critical. And that's why we enable people to combine satellite data with whatever data they upload from IoT devices or whatever system they're using. And the idea is to for us to enable them to process this, taking care of all the computational and data handling requirements in the backend. We definitely see that there is more value when this is done.
And
maybe just to add something in the context of Africa that I think is interesting and where our platform brings a lot of value is like there is a huge problem, as Eugene said earlier, like with the internet, there is no bandwidth, right? So like you cannot really have heavy computations done on your laptop. Probably you also don't have a very powerful laptop like in the Western world. So like where we see a lot of value with our platform is that people, you know, can just code their programs and then deploy it on the platform, and everything is taken care of. Like the compute is happening somewhere else. So all the data fetching is happening somewhere else in the cloud. There is no need to download anything. So like this brings, I think, a lot of value, and also making it more accessible to people. Like we believe like with maybe a bit of upskilling, like people could start building a lot of stuff like already in our platform, basically.
yeah, thank you so much. Okay, hi Charles, nice to see you here. And the question to from Bahrain, I don't know the name. Yes, the webinar was recorded and it will be uploaded on our YouTube channel. So we've got 9 more minutes, so let's hurry up a little bit, right? So the question from Anonymous, since it's a relatively new industry, I think space, right, not agriculture, what is the most needed in the industry but maybe lacking currently? What do you think, guys, about this? It's more philosophical question, I think.
If I may, like I think it's also a very big industry. There are a lot of challenges in different aspects. So I will answer it based on my personal bias and what I'm working on right now. I think we see like a big problem with like aggregating all the different data sources, like the remote sensing engineers, the geospatial engineers really struggle a lot with finding the different data sources. They are in so many different formats. They're not sure what sensors to use for what use case. So I think that's a very big problem that so far everyone I talk to like brings it up. Yeah, so like that's from our point of view at least.
I think from my side, as he's just tried to his point, like the individual capabilities are there, but still they are not know-how exactly in space sector. Second thing, the awareness of people and the governments, how they use this and how this take. Like some people, they don't know, especially like how the satellite imagery is taking pictures. So sometimes they read it in immediately, like sometimes like for the oil spill, some areas they said we need it every day or at least every hour, which is we cannot do it in satellite. So the awareness should be spreading and letting people how the space sector is working.
Yeah. Thank you so much. We've got Manuel. Yes, answer to your question about the marketplace. Absolutely, would be very happy to cooperate with any marketplaces. It's not only one. There are lots of marketplaces in the space industry. And there are two questions from Emmanuel to Eugene about are you aware about Yoma company and Constellar? So I think these questions can be answered in a private one. So you can drop an email to Eugene or to contact him directly. So Will, thank you so much for your questions. See you soon. We've got a comment from Charles. Let me give a comment to support what Eugene was saying. Rwanda uses drone technology and mostly in health. So it would be an opportunity to work with Rwanda in drone technology upgrading. Absolutely, yes. So let me also ask my questions because I was preparing them as well. So we spoke about the challenges of the adaptation of space technologies in agriculture. The question from Robert, so we had a chance to chat before the webinar, and he's curious about how do farmers perceive the use of satellite communication compared to traditional communication methods? So maybe the question to Eugene. So I'll repeat. How do farmers perceive the use of satellite communication compared to traditional communication methods?
I think farmers do welcome the communication from satellites. The only limitation is the cost associated with the information that they receive from the satellite, and two is that it's not so easy to get in most cases. Otherwise, the technology is welcome.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe the last question, how can governments and the private sector collaborate to further develop the integration of space technologies in agriculture? What do you think? Robert, maybe we can start with you. And
yeah, well, I think, I mean, certainly something I've been looking at the moment is foreign aid from the UK. You do see the UK certainly help with various things in East Africa and things with respect to water management, but they're quite hard to get hold of. But I think if governments can find ways to help fund, and this is back to the cost point that Eugene's been talking about there, right? I mean, the cost comes down with scale, right? So it's very hard to deploy these things early on without some commitment with funding. And I think that the governments can do that with foreign aid to enable sort of fairly decent size, shall we call them proof of concept projects that enable us to start showing some realization and value, and then hopefully with that the economies of scale kick in and the price point comes down, which then starts benefiting the farmer more. So I think really it is government foreign aid to enable deployment in underserved areas, really, to drive that price down.
Just drop a comment. Governments are not fast enough. Commercial should take a lead. Absolutely correct. Any other comments? Any other ideas you want to share? I'm speaking with our estimated speakers. Maybe final words. Say goodbye.
I just thank you for this opportunity to present the solutions and to know all of you.
Yeah, it's my job to help you guys get more visibility. And for those attendees, so there is a platform called Space Marketplace. If you're interested to check case studies and services by our estimated speakers, please go there and find lots of solutions for your industries and based on like technologies and so on. Anyone else?
I was just going to say, really thank you to everyone. There's some great questions and some, made it quite involved, and it was great to see that. So thanks everybody for joining in.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you to Alex. Yeah, thank you to Alex for connecting us. Thank you, Robert, for the technology that you have shared with us. I would be grateful if you organize another space like this another time. So I would be grateful, and I would like to introduce some more members to be part of the discussion.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Let's do it. So we've got several other solutions for agriculture, and that would be cool to get focused workshops using like information provided by our estimated speakers and guys who are interested, or clients or potential partners from Africa, from other regions. Okay, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much, our estimated speakers. Once again, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much, attendees. I know I was a little bit pushing you to come to this webinar. I sent lots of emails. Thank you for accepting this. And see you soon. Once again, our next webinar will be in a month, I think in the end of November, exactly. Yeah. And we'll be speaking about oil and gas industry. So some of the case studies you can already find on the platform. Some of the new speakers will be here, and we'll be speaking from different perspectives, from sensors and IoT, and from Earth observation and AI solutions. So please check updates on our LinkedIn page, and see you soon. Thank you so much. Shukran. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you too.
Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.